there are some really critical body language tips and tricks that you can use to really make an effective first impression in both an in-person and a virtual interview. More gets communicated non-verbally than verbally. When we meet somebody for the first time, what we don't realize fully is that our brains are at work. They are looking at the person's face, they're looking at the person's body, they're looking at how open or closed off they are. There are some tips and tricks that we know that will help you show up as a better interviewee. The first thing is to smile. So it is amazing what a simple smile can do to communicate that you are safe, you are a good person, you're a potential collaborator. The second thing, have an open body posture, right? What does that mean? Shoulders back, hands separated, right? A closed off posture like this or like this might communicate that you might have something to hide or you're not really interested in what we have to talk about. Another thing is, what direction are you facing? When you are in an interview, not only do you want to have an open body posture, you're open to this conversation, you're open to what this person has to say. You want to be facing that person. Have you ever been in a conversation, for example, where you're talking with somebody and they're crossed over, kind of looking over here? Generally speaking, the legs tell you where the person wants to go. And in my case, I'm pointing toward the door. I want to be wherever you're not. In other words, we have to be very mindful of our body language in interviews, and especially within the first few minutes. If you're interviewing in person, another really critical part is the handshake. And some people have these shortcuts or heuristics, sometimes we call them in psychology, that they use. How firm was the handshake? I've heard some people, like my grandfather used to say, you can tell a lot about a person based on their handshake. That's actually true. That's not just folk knowledge. And specifically, it's not just about the strength of the handshake, but the direction of the handshake. So from a body language standpoint, there's essentially 3 types of handshakes that you can give as an interviewee and really just as a person in your everyday life. There's the even handshake, right? Where I'm shaking your hand, my palms facing directly left. If I'm right-handed, their palms facing directly to the other direction, to my right. That basically communicates, when you go in for an even handshake, it communicates that you view the other person as your equal. I'm equal to you, you are equal to me. This is by far the best handshake to use in business and also in interviews. In 99.9% of the cases as an interviewee, you want to use and approach every handshake evenly. The underhand handshake, on the other hand, basically means that I am giving you the upper hand, literally and figuratively. And what's interesting is that when I do give an underhand handshake, my body actually responds to that naturally, below the level of consciousness. On the flip side, if I go in and give an over the hand handshake, what this communicates is I'm dominant. I view myself as dominant to you. In an interview setting, that's the last thing you want to offer that person. You do not want to make yourself appear dominant. That is completely inappropriate in a job interview, in my view. So you have to be mindful. You cannot control the handshake that the person gives you, but what you can think about and control is what you do in response. When you approach an interviewer or a recruiter or anybody you meet in that office, go in for an even handshake. If they turn over and they try to dominate you via the handshake, remember, shoulders back, head up, chin up, be confident. Do not cross your hands. And again, sometimes it's the simplest things that matter. A real, genuine smile really matters. And this is kind of interesting, right? Human beings actually pick up on what a genuine smile is. And basically, you do it subconsciously every day. If you bring it to consciousness, what happens is the eyes crinkle, right? You start to see the little wrinkles on the eye. If you ever see somebody who has a lot of wrinkles there, might be a good tip that that's a genuine person. They have a lot of genuine smiles. But you also can detect, and so can the interviewer, subconsciously what an inauthentic smile is. You know, that's not a very authentic smile, right? But if I'm smiling like this, you know, that's an authentic smile. I'm genuinely happy to meet somebody. Now, the key is it has to be genuine, right? You can't really fake it unless you're exceptional at controlling your body. What I like to tell candidates in this case how to give a genuine smile. Imagine you have to assume this person is going to be your future boss. That's exciting. Assume that this is going to be an exciting experience. Assume that you're getting to meet somebody you're about to work with for the next few years. And that allows you to go into that meeting, meet that person for the first time, and give a really authentic, genuine smile. Don't fake it. If you fake it, they will know, very likely, and it's going to do you and it's going to do them a disservice. The number one tip that I wish people would really believe in interviewing is just to be yourself. And I think a lot of times we think we have to put on this show. We have to be an actor, an actress. And it's true, you do want to show up as the best version of yourself, but underline yourself. You want to be the best version of yourself. Don't act like someone else. This is important for a couple of reasons. One, we talked about body language. We talked about how sensitive the human brain is to these physical, nonverbal, and verbal cues. If you fake it, there's a pretty good chance that interview is going to feel like something's wrong. They might not be able to put their finger on it, but they might leave that interview saying, just wasn't something right about that. There's something that just doesn't sit right about that. The second, and probably the most important reason to just be yourself, the best version of yourself, is that if you do act and somehow get through the filter of their unconscious brain and you get the job, that might not be the right job for you. You might have actually shot yourself in the foot, done yourself a disservice, and you're going to end up in the wrong job. And remember, if you're in the wrong job that's not the right fit, that doesn't meet your needs, you are wasting a lot of very precious time and a lot of very precious currency. If you want to ace the interview, be yourself.
Some simple body language tips and tricks will help you make a positive first impression in an in-person interview. Smile. Maintain an open body posture and use an even handshake. To convey an authentic sense of warmth and charisma, imagine this person will be your future boss who you're going to work with for the next few years. Assume this is going to be an exciting experience, and your enthusiasm will show.